The 5 ways to get a price out of your motivated seller. Hey guys, it's Rick Ginn, and in this video, I'm going to share some unconventional techniques you can use with your sellers to actually get them to reveal their price, which we call a start of a negotiation. But before I get into it, do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button. You hit that subscribe button to continue to receive videos just like this. Now, the 5 ways I'm going to share with you are really the Rick Ginn ways. And why do I say that? Is because over 21 years, I've perfected this craft. And I found them all by accident and mostly by trial and error. And so I have a lot of experience in this area, and you're not going to see these methods taught anywhere else because it is just my raw experience of dealing with thousands and thousands of motivated sellers. Now, I will tell you this, you have to start with a motivated seller. If you don't have a motivated seller, some of these techniques just won't work. So you want to make sure you truly have qualified your sellers or disqualified your sellers so you can see if you can do a great wholesale deal. It always starts with a motivated seller. So the first and most recommended way to do this is the technique called go for no. And it's simply, you spend less than 10 minutes comping, you use our offer formula inside of freewholesaling.com, which is simply very simple. It's not the old school 70% rule. And this tells you where you roughly need to be without overpaying for the property. Now, you're never going to share that number with your seller, just like most of your sellers aren't going to share their number with you. So that's what we're here to talk about today. How do we get that number out of them without actually saying, Mr. Seller, what's the cheapest you'll sell me that house? What's the lowest price? Because that was my technique when I first started. It was terrible, but it occasionally worked. So we're in a new era in 2023. So when you make an offer, you basically want to ask that without saying those exact words. By using the go for no method, you are looking for the counter. So many of you guys try to focus on getting that yes when you make an offer. So if you think the seller's thinking 200,000 in their head and your calculations come to 200,000 and you offer 175 right off the bat and your seller says no, what are you going to do? You're kind of screwed. So stop trying to go for that yes towards your MAO, your maximum allowable offer, and start putting a number that's low that lets your seller know, go, listen, you're going to have to come to me. I'm not coming up to you. Now, they don't all respond to this, but if you don't try, you have no idea. And if you've already overpaid on quite a few wholesale deals, which a lot of you watching this video are, or you're scared you're going to overpay, the go for no protects you from this method. Now, here's the key with go for no. No more than a 10-minute comp, quick calculation, and you have to deal with a motivated seller. When you make your offer, just make it low. If you go, Rick, I don't know, that makes me uncomfortable. So if you think your maximum allowable offer is 200,000 and you built up great rapport and you're having a great conversation, understand you're going to hit them with a low number. And it's going to stall your great conversation. But remember, you're up here. When you do your go for no, you're going to drop back down here. The idea is not to get kicked out. So if you say you offer 110 and you know you can pay up to 200, if they accept it, congratulations. But odds are you're going to get rejected. Expect it. Remember, the counter is what allows you to go in your seller's subconscious mind and get a reaction. Reactions are more valuable than the actual number. So when I look at the reaction, if they don't flinch and budge, they go, hey, can you do like 150? I was thinking 200. I just made an extra 50 grand. You got to understand, no matter what happens, expect a reaction. And your reaction is how you start a negotiation and how you truly work with your motivated seller. And honestly, the worst case scenario is like, absolutely, I can't do that, Rick. I talked over my wife. We can't go below $158,000. Do you know how long and how many weeks you would have taken to go through that entire conversation? So here's a little trick. If you're brand new to the business, congratulations. I think you're in the right place. Go over to freewholesaling.com, get started today, but use the go for no method. And whatever number you're going to make, if you're obsessing over your MAO and you want to get the yes, remember, getting a no is good because a no starts in negotiations and you can get in your seller's subconscious mind. Remember, you want to help them out, but you are a guide. So what do you do with a guide? You got to ask quality questions. And unfortunately, we have to hit them low to pull that reaction out. Honestly, it will recertify if you have a motivated seller. If you have someone that's just focused on price, they are not good for wholesaling. Get rid of them. But once they want to negotiate you and work with you, now you've narrowed that window and now you can truly put a great wholesaling deal together. You're gonna have to do some verification on the repairs and stuff like that, but that's where all deals start with. So if you calculated an MAO of like 200, knock 60, 70 grand off it right off the bat. Use it as a handicap. So you people that play golf, handicap yourself when you make an offer, minus 50 grand off of it to protect yourself. There's nothing worse when you overpay for a property and you waste your time and you work for free and it puts you at massive risk. Use the go for no. That is probably the best way to get a counter offer from your seller. seller to truly get their bottom line price. Number two is going to be what we call the good cop, bad cop. And this works really well. And honestly, I really utilized this when I brought my son in the business. And guess who he made the bad cop? It was me. He was always a good cop. So when Zach would go out on acquisitions, when he went out in the field and did this, he'd basically say, listen, I hear you, seller, and I want to get you that $200,000. I think you deserve it. But I talked to my partner. He says the most they can spend on is 110 grand. And then when they get the reaction, they start yelling at Zach. He goes, listen, I'm on your side. I get it. I want to get a deal done. My partner's a little bit nuts. He's just looking at the numbers, but he is looking at the value of the house. I'm just here to communicate. I want to work with you. And then let the seller talk. He goes, oh, your partner's crazy. I don't want to deal with him anymore. That's why I'm here. That's why listen, I'm on your side. But like, what's the best can we do? I mean, can you get close to that number? Listen, my bottom line numbers are like 155. I can't go any lower. See, the good cop, bad cop, you transferred the blame to somebody else, and then you basically befriended the seller and you let them know I'm on your side. And you wind up being kind of a negotiator and a facilitator. And even though you're not a licensed agent, you are negotiating on behalf of the contract. And it's perfectly legal to do. And honestly, it takes the edge off because you remain the good cop, the nice guy, the nice girl, and then somebody back in the office is always bad. And listen, it doesn't work every time, but honestly, this technique works more than you think. That's why I put it at number two. Use it, guys. And if you're like a really nice person, you have a hard time like telling the people like the truth, use this method to get you through until you get a few deals. But remember, eventually you do have to break low numbers to people. And I don't want you to use this method forever, but like when you get started, it is a great technique to use. And honestly, when you get really advanced, you can go back to this technique because you understand it's a strategy. It's not a crutch. Good cop, bad cop. Use it, guys. Number three is simply what I call the scrunchy face. And this is basically when you don't use the good cop, bad cop, instead of transferring that tension of that negotiation, you're going to do it all by yourself. Now remember, good cop, bad cop, you can make up anyone. It can be your cat back home. It can be your dog. It can be your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever it is. So don't feel like, I don't want you ever to lie to someone, but you better make sure you know who the bad cop is and mentally vision it. Now, the scrunchy face, you're doing it without the good cop, bad cop, but you're putting the stress of the transaction on you. Listen, whenever you do in negotiations, there's always tensions. It's just natural. And all it is the vibrations of both parties trying to get what they want. And hopefully they create a win-win situation. But bad deals are when one side wins and the other side loses. That doesn't work in wholesaling. And if you get a deal like that, the odds of it falling apart are very high. If you think you're going to rip off people in this business, they're not going to go to the closing table and they figure out you ripped them off. So create win-win situations. So with the scrunchy face is, say it was a $200,000, the most I can pay for it. I said, listen, Mr. Seller, I know you need 200 grand and like, I hear you, but like, would you just, I mean, would you consider taking 110? Is that doable? You want to make it uncomfortable and transfer it to you. Something crazy happens. Don't ask me how this happens, but it happens. The sellers feel you're uncomfortable and they feel the tension on you and they want to help you. Now, they don't always help you with price, but they're like, Rick, it's like, relax. I'm sure we can find a number that works for both of us. What you want to do is transfer that energy inside of you and see if they'll help you out. And it doesn't work every time, but I'm here to tell you, people feel sorry for you. They're like, why is he struggling so bad to make an offer on this house? Now, if they know the house is rough and stuff like that, like, listen, Rick, I know this makes you uncomfortable. I can't do 110, but would you consider 165,000? Yeah. So you can go back and forth with the scrunchy face. You're basically using good cop, bad cop. It's just you're the one person and you basically have an alter ego, which you're like this scared, frightened child. And the key is your hand gestures, your face, scrunchy face. I got my crow's feet. You guys see them. You just squeeze it like that and they feel bad for you. And if they feel bad for you and they know it's a bad property, sometimes they will help you out. Use this technique, guys. It works more often than you think. And it still allows them to give you a counter. It's just, it's a solo party. And if you're comfortable doing it, doing it. Now, the key to all these techniques I'm sharing with you, find out what makes you most confident when you make these offers. And it's going to be a different answer for every person watching this video. I love scrunchy face. Let's move on to the next one. The next one's the Volley Method. And I've taught this, guys, to you, is a lot of times, this is when a seller just won't give you a price. Drives me nuts. So you're going to have to induce it out of them. So I teach you guys to overcome resistance. You have to be persistent. This is where it comes into play. And this is how it works. If you can overcome at least 2 objections for the average person, you typically can get what you want from them. Why? Most people give up after 1 objection. 2, you completely break them down. Most people will never go past 1. So if you go past 2, you double your odds of being successful at this technique. So here's how it goes. Mr. Seller, what do you need to get out of this property to move on with your life? Typical conversation we have with a motivated seller. I don't know, Rick. I don't know what the number is, and just make me an offer. This is perfect for this scenario. It says, Mr. Seller, I know you don't know what the number is, but if you had to guess, what do you need to get for this property? You see, all I did was take my same question, I rewrapped it, and I served it back over. This is just like a volleyball match, tennis match, whatever your thing is. And now that I've pushed it over him, the obligation is off of me, and now the pressure's on the seller to re-deliver that ball back over the net. You don't believe me? Try it. Here's a little hint. Don't use this on your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, because they'll figure it out after a couple times. Remember, you only deal with a motivated seller typically once in your life, so you can get away with this. Now, here's what they do. Go, well, Rick, what if they don't respond back to me? Rick, you're the professional. You're here. You tell me what the number is. I have no idea. Mr. Seller, I can appreciate you have no idea what the number is. Just give me a ballpark. If you just had to like take a guesstimate, where do you think that number would lie between you and your wife? See, now I've come back twice. Now, one or two things are going to happen. Either he's going to just break down and give it to you because I overcame the 2 objection rule, or they're going to get agitated with you. Now, sometimes agitation is the instigator you need for a motivated seller to truly give you their subconscious price. If you use these techniques correctly, you are accessing your seller's subconscious mind, which basically they have a number internally in there, and then with their conscious mind, they're trying to protect it. How do you get a subconscious answer? You got to get people to automate. When people get stressed and freaked out, they go rely on their subconscious because it's an automatic program they've learned to coping mechanism. So a lot of times anger and frustration will access their subconscious mind and they'll give an automatic answer without even thinking about it. Yes, I just revealed you on how to get into someone's head. It's crazy. The Volley Method works well. The key with this one is you have to practice with yourself in the mirror, then do it live with someone and keep practicing. The Volley Method only works if you instantly volley. If you do ums and ahs and delay it forever, it doesn't work. So practice is very important when it comes to any of these techniques, but especially the Volley Method. So the last one's going to be like a no-brainer here. Okay, we've tried everything else, nothing's worked. I get it. At this point, you've identified him as a motivated seller, you've qualified him, you walked him through these multiple techniques from going for no, all the techniques I taught on here. Here's the deal. At this point, send them a written offer. A simple contract with an expiration of 48 to 72 hours on it, maximum 5 days, and send it. Rick, what's that going to do? On average, if you've gone through this process, you will still pick up 10% more deals by doing this technique. Now, you can send all your offers on the end of the week, Friday or Saturday. The idea is when you send it, sometimes you get past the gatekeeper. So if the husband said no to your offer, maybe it gets to a spouse, a wife, a sister, an aunt, an uncle, and they go, listen, you got an offer here, let's go ahead and take it. And they pick up the phone and call it. Now, this is more of an intent sheet, a solicitation sheet, but sometimes when you put stuff in writing, it changes people's minds or it gets in the right hands. So guys, if you've tried every one of these methods and you've worked with them, after at least 10 days, send them in a written offer with a quick expiration and a note on the front of it. Make it simple and let them know that, hey, your money's over at the title company. We're ready to go at this number, and make it an offer and don't go past it. And the idea is they typically don't take the offer, but they will make a phone call. When they make that phone call, you can go back to using these tactics to renegotiate your deal to get the best deal possible. So guys, let me know in the comments which of these 5 methods you guys use. Which one do you think you're going to employ? And as usual, guys, if you enjoyed this video and you got value from it, make sure you hit that like button. And more importantly, make sure you hit that subscribe button so I can continue to give you the truth on wholesaling and make you a better wholesaler. Guys, I appreciate your time. This is Rick Ginn, and I'll see you in the next video.